Hi everyone, I wanted to come on and give you a quick tutorial on how to make clean color changes when crocheting. I'm going to be crocheting the center of a sushi roll, so I want to show you with my yarn how I am making these color changes so that they come out nice and clean. We're going to show changing color from one stitch to the next and then changing color from one round to the next. So let's get into it. First, I have my 4 different colors. I did already crochet the center, which is 6 single crochet into a magic ring. We have green for the cucumber. We have this tangerine color for the salmon, pink for the tuna chunk, and white for rice. So we are going to be starting with green. We're going to do an increase into the next stitch. Now ordinarily we would pull this loop through to finish up that increase, but we're actually not going to do that. So we're going to hold off and keep these 2 loops from this last stitch on our hook. Now we're color changing in the next stitch to the tangerine. So in the stitch prior, I'm going to put the tangerine on my hook and pull that loop through instead of the green to finish out that increase. Next, we're going to be increasing into the next stitch using tangerine. Pull that loop through gently so that you don't pull your end through by accident or mess up your tension. Now, once again, instead of pulling that last loop through, we're going to hold off. I'm going to stop here and tie off my yarn just to secure that yarn tail. And this is optional. You can leave your yarn tails unsecured if that's how you want to create your plushie. The next stitch, we're going to be color changing to the pink. So on the stitch prior, we're going to pull that loop through, holding the yarn tail at the back of your work. Now the next stitch, we're going to be increasing with pink. And one more single crochet. We're stopping at the end of that last stitch instead of pulling through that yarn tail. And now we're going to color change back to green. So I'm just going to pull this thread around. I'm not even going to bother to secure that. And the next stitch in green is going into that same stitched work to create an increase that's 2 different colors. And finishing out this round. Now you can see that we now have nice clean color changes from one stitch to the next. If you had finished the stitches the way you ordinarily would do, you might find that the top of this following stitch is green because you had pulled a green loop through this stitch and it carried over into the next one. And likewise, that the tangerine would carry over to the top of the next stitch. But instead, each block has its own defined color. In order to keep clean color changes between rounds, one technique that I use is to crochet into the back loop only when changing colors. You'll see that here I'm crocheting white over the tangerine and the pink. So into the next stitch, we're going to crochet into the back loop only. This creates a much cleaner break between this stitch and the next than we would if we were crocheting into both loops, in which case the white would cut down into that pink, creating a smaller block of pink. As we continue on the round, I am going to point out that when crocheting white into white, or your main color into the same color below it, you don't need to use the back loop only. You can crochet into both loops to keep that color block looking nice, continuous, and in this case, make it look like nice individual grains of rice. The final technique I wanted to share is to color change between rounds where you want to create a very distinct definition between the round of one color and the round of the next. Here in the sushi roll, I'm going to change the black so that I can do the nori wrap. So once again, we're pulling the black through and attaching my color. And don't mind all my ends. This was a very complicated design, but all those ends will be hidden inside the sushi roll once we stuff it. So we're going to do the next round in black. Instead of crocheting through both loops as I would to continue the round, I'm actually going to do an extra round that's not counted in the pattern. I'm going to go through the back loop only and crochet a slip stitch into the back loop only for each stitch of this white. This is going to create a round of slip stitches around the margin of the sushi roll. Okay, now you're ready to do the next round. As you can see, it's created a very nicely well-defined round of slip stitches. Next, you're going to single crochet into the round of slip stitches you just made. Instead of crocheting under both loops, you're going to go into the back loop only and crochet your round. So I'm single crocheting into the back loop only of each slip stitch. If you're having difficulty, as do I, with crocheting into the back of a slip stitch or into the back of any stitch to begin with, something I find is that if I'm having difficulty sticking the point of my hook into that stitch, I'll turn my hook around and try using just that little pointy part, slipping it under your back loop and kind of turn it till you get your hook in there. So again, I'm going under with the pointy hooked portion of my hook instead of the end. This is creating a nice defined border between the black and the white. That's what I want for this roll because I want this black to look like it's a piece of nori wrapped around the sushi center. So there you have it. That is how to create a well-defined line between your rounds when you change color from one round to the next. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you like my videos, please smash that subscribe button and you can see other studio vlogs and videos of me crocheting plushies in addition to tutorials on how to complete some of my patterns.